Hi guys, my goodness. During normal times with a normal president, the following or something similar to the following would happen if an incident like the one that took place in Washington DC between an airplane and a helicopter occurred. The president would address the nation by extending sympathy towards the friends and family of those who had lost their lives. The president would then thank the first responders for the difficult task that they have undertaken. Finally, the head of state in a normal situation would explain to the public that a full investigation into the incident would take place and that all relevant authorities would be required to assist fully in any inquiry. The president would refrain from commenting on the cause and encourage others to follow suit until a full report had been compiled. But we don't live in normal times, and the US does not have a normal president. It has a charlatan who's looking for anyone to blame.
Christopher, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect, and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence, and we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office, and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers, and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses.
So he starts off by blaming Barack Obama, then he blames Joe Biden, and then he tries to do some sort of victory lap, claiming that he put in a measure last week with an executive order to undo what Joe Biden had put in place. Like, there hasn't been an investigation yet. I don't even know if the investigation has begun. I presume government departments, not Donald Trump demanding it, but government departments, the ones responsible for aviation, will be carrying out an investigation. So a normal politician, a normal president, would wait and encourage others to wait until the investigation had been completed. But Donald Trump is not a normal president, is not a normal human being. He wants somebody to blame. And he's pointing the finger at Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and a diversity policy. What an absolute charlatan this guy is. Like, he's using the deaths of the individuals involved here as a political football. How can I profit from this? As far as I've heard, he's refused to go to the crash site. He couldn't be bothered. He said, "Why should I go there?" He doesn't need to go there. All he needs to do is sit in the White House and tell people, this is what happened. This is why it happened. We don't need an investigation. I'm not going to wait for an inquiry. I have made the decision that the fault lies with Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and their policies. And unfortunately, his supporters and people in the media are jumping on this and saying, okay, we need to get rid of all this diversity stuff because this is costing lives. They have already come to the same conclusion as Donald Trump has without any investigation taking place. Like, we don't know if blame should be laid at Joe Biden and Barack Obama's door. We don't know if the blame should be laid at Donald Trump's door. We have to wait for an inquiry. We have to wait for a full investigation. And instead of pointing the finger, he should be encouraging people to take a step back, not to judge, to support, if they can, the relevant authorities to carry out this investigation. But once again, he doesn't care about the victims. He doesn't care about the authorities. He only cares about himself. And he's looking at, how can I profit from this situation? How can I turn this around into some sort of victory for Donald Trump? He should be nowhere near the White House. And this is not about politics. This is about humanity. This is about somebody who doesn't care about the rule of law, obviously, as we know, but he doesn't care about the procedures necessary to carry out an investigation. The victims' families want to know what happened. The victims' families want to understand how this occurred, and they would be hoping that it can be resolved so it doesn't happen in the future. But they would want an investigation to be carried out. They would want the president not to be sticking his nose in, trying to use it as a political football. It's a dark time. You know, we thought that Donald Trump had reached the bottom of the barrel, but it seems this incident has demonstrated that there's still somewhere to go. There's still a little bit further down he can scrape. Something like this should bring him down. This should end his presidency. But unfortunately, it'll be swept under the carpet. It will be forgotten about in a week's time. Not by the victims, not by the authorities, but by the Trump administration and the media. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.